I don't know if they're able to make it. You don't need an ID. Appreciate you guys being here today. It hasn't been that great of a week, but it's going to get better. I think collectively across Sky Power Board, it's just not been a good September, but that can all change today. Just wanted to launch into our purpose of what we're doing. Sometimes if you're just thinking that we're just selling solar, it's not as motivating. So for me, it's like I've got to remember the purpose, exactly why we're doing this. So we don't just sell solar; we create freedom and predictability for people. Not just the savings. The savings icing is on the cake, but what we're talking about is we actually we give these people freedom. We give them absolute certainty and predictability, and we're going to be able to give them some sort of financial peace of mind as well by saving them money and then putting them in a much better position. So every door you knock is an opportunity to change somebody's life. Then I know it might sound kind of cliche or whatnot, but I mean that's literally what we're able to do. If you take a family their bill is going to double, and then we give them the absolute certain bill, what it's going to be month in and month out, it puts them in an obvious better position. And so for you guys, it's about remembering that the purpose behind knocking doors, not just knocking doors to make a buck, but the purpose is to actually serve the customer at the absolute highest level. And in the relationship, in the solar relationship, everybody wins. And I'll tell my clients this, I'll be like, listen, this is a relationship. We're going to make a lot of money. You're going to save a lot of money. And the utility company is going to benefit from you actually exporting that extra energy into the grid during those peak times when they need it the most. And so we're doing our part. We're more than doing our part because we're serving everybody at that level. And most people are going to have some sort of semblance of savings. If they can't get savings from day one, at least they have some sort of certainty in the foreseeable future. And with a lease agreement, I mean, they get a 25-year warranty on the parts and labor and equipment. I mean, dude, you can't get a better deal than that. I mean, like you literally can't get a better deal. Um, Update you guys, every solar system that's sold after the first through LightReach is going to be required a battery requirement. So put that in your forefront of your mind. The other thing, the video calls have stopped for the time being. I think they'll be reenacted again, but just to let you guys know, you don't have to do the video call, which was a big time pain in the ass anyways. That was a big pain in the ass for us, and they didn't have their stuff together. I think they will do this again, but it's going to be a minute until they can get the kinks worked out. So just to let you guys know, we'll update you with that. And one other thing we want to go over just before we get started. There's a big one on there.
Hey Luke, what was the date for the battery selling?
October 1st.
October. All right, thank you.
Yeah, so we got a little couple weeks left. There was some other stuff that we had in there, but it is what it is. So just be aware of that. And then if you don't want to use the battery, don't use a battery. Give them some other different product. There's only one lease that we have, unless you're an APS. You'll have the NFIN lease, which is kind of garbage, but you'll be able to at least be able to pivot and go back and forth. I'm not a big fan of that because I do the battery option close on customers. So I give them the close. I ask them which one they're going to want. Do you want this one or this one? And I make them pick. The guy I had last night, he didn't want a battery. I told him the assets and the liabilities with not having it, and he still made a decision to not do it. He was a low energy bill anyways, as it was, but just be aware of that. So if you're going to be pivoting and you are going to be option closed, you're going to have to switch a completely different product to be able to give them solar without a battery. That's not a lease, because it's the only lease option that we have. The other thing I want to talk about a little bit about my close I did yesterday, and I want to talk about the quality of making a really good set. So the quality, just to get some input from you guys, what makes a really good set?
Urgency.
That's good.
I think like You get them interested so that they want to sit down and go forward. I don't know why it's echoing.
It's a pretty big echo. You must have two things on at once. Somebody's still echoing.
Tanner, you gotta mute yourself, bro.
Confirm that it's a homeowner.
Oh, confirm it's a homeowner. That's probably a dude. You got to make sure you do that. Like, in fact, some of you guys have made sets, and and then when I did the D check, I found out that they weren't the homeowner, and so I had to ask them about that before I got to the house, and that's actually come fruition. This is why you should be calling them by the name and just confirming that they're the homeowner. This is like baseline stuff. It'll happen. I mean, don't feel bad. I mean, it's going to happen, but you don't want to be sending out somebody to their house and going to a renter's house that has no ability, no capacity to make a decision to go solar. But let's just kind of take this in the context of when I set an appointment, and there's a clear understanding of the traps or the tactics that I've implemented in the beginning of the set. The first thing is I'm going to talk about is the problem. What's the problem? So the body of this is the problem, and I'm going to sell the problem really hard. I'm very little solution oriented at first. I'm all problem. Here's the problem. The neighbors have been freaking out. People are really concerned. People are wondering how they're going to pay a utility bill when it's double in less than 4 years. People are really concerned about what's happening with the utility bill. Or I'm going to leverage, depending on the area, I'm going to leverage different other things. I'm not going to be talking about people are freaking out in a wealthy neighborhood, dude. Those people don't give a shit. They could care less. But typically, we want to be working middle class. You want to be working middle class. The wealthy people, they're going to be a little bit more of a challenge because you have to find a deeper why, deeper motivation for them to make a decision. So if we take this in context, we want to be talking about like middle class people. Some you can't really go by the sell of the home because the homes have gone up so much, but you're going to be talking about people freaking out. You're going to be selling the problem, okay? So you have to be demonstrating a really good understanding of the problem, and you have to be able to clearly communicate what the problem is. And I'm always going to leverage bandwagon. So I'm always going to be talking about other neighbors. Now, here's the thing. If you're showing up into an area, and I'm going to tell you guys this all the time, and this is going to be like a broken record. If you're showing up to a brand new neighborhood, you want to go talk to the people that have solar. Now, if you're Thomas, you're going to want to sell those people, but I want to be able to get those people's stories on exactly why they made a decision to go solar and what their experience was like. Some people have good experiences, some people have bad experiences. It's just really important that you figure out what that inner motivation for them to make that decision at that time was. Once you have that story, then you're telling anecdotes throughout the neighborhood, and you have a real live person to use. You don't have to make people up. You don't have to, oh yeah, they live down there, but they're actually like 3 neighborhoods over, dude. That's always shitty. If you can get somebody exclusively in the neighborhood, you guys are going to have a much greater chance of earning that credibility, especially if they know them. So, or they've seen the solar system or whatnot, one of those things. But then what we want to do is we want to talk about kind of like, we want to tell these people why these people made a decision to go solar. What was their inner motivation? Their inner motivation was to have predictability. Their inner motivation was to save money. Their inner motivation was because they did not want to be at the mercy of the utility company and what their price increases are going to go for. So like once you've set that frame, then that's when we come up with the solution. So, hey, did the neighbors stop by? Did the neighbors tell you what was going on? Oh, by the way, in the start, I personally like to answer. I like to ask questions that I'm not going to get a negative. So I've been knocking with some of you guys. You're like, hey, did you see our trucks? No, I didn't see your fucking trucks. Did you guys get the ability insert? No, I didn't get that. Do you guys want a solar report? No, I don't want a solar report. Like you're pace leading them to say no, 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 right? So if you're going to ask them a question, ask them a question which is going to elicit a positive response. I'm going to say something like this. Hey, the neighbors probably tried to stop by. You probably weren't around, right? And they're like, no, I wasn't around. I didn't talk to him. That's a way to reframe the question to get a positive answer. Yeah, I wasn't around. So now you're getting a positive answer versus a negative answer. If you take the tactics of pace lead, the last thing you want to do is start with a no, and then you're just going to know your way out of there. So I'm going to ask them questions that will elicit a positive response. Hey, the neighbors, I'm sure the neighbors never got a hold of you. Did the neighbors ever get a hold of you? No, they didn't. Now, even if they answered no, they didn't, it piques their curiosity. No, the neighbors didn't get a hold of me. Like it piques their curiosity. So like, hey, the neighbors are freaking out right now. They got a billing insert from SRP talking about that's going to double their bill. They're one of the few people that actually kept it. Most people threw it away. I'm assuming you probably threw away the billing insert, right? And they're like, yes, actually, I did throw it away. I'm not even aware of what's going on. Yeah, let me kind of tell you what Jim was freaking out about. He got the billing insert, closing the biggest coal plant in the nation, and now they're starting to build solar fields. And guess who has to pay for that? That's right, we do. So Jim was freaking out. He's already like constraining his finances because he can't pay the bills as is. He's wondering, he was strategically trying to figure out what sacrifices he has to make to pay the utility bill and put food on the table. Now, I understand you're probably not in that position. This might be a little bit extreme, but when we came to Jim's house, he had met with a variety of different solar people, but he never found a program that looked like this. So in that intro, I've elicited a response, but I've done this in a way that's gotten a positive response out of the client, right? A positive response out of the customer. Yeah, I did throw it away. Yeah, I'm not even aware of what that bill looks like. Okay, perfect. So now I'm pace leading them. And I'm leveraging stories throughout the very beginning. I'm leveraging some sort of a story that's going to deliver the problem. I'm not just telling them the problem. If you just tell them the problem without delivering a story, they don't believe you. Do you understand that? So you guys understand how that I'm implementing the problem. I'm not telling them the problem. Not like, hey, dude, the SRPs are going to be doubling your bill. Yeah, SRP, they're going to be doubling the bill. They closed the biggest coal plant in the nation. I'm delivering information in a story mode, which people are always going to remember a lot more than they're going to remember you giving them information. Stories sell, salesmen tell. So you're always going to be able to sell somebody on information by delivering it, packaging, and some sort of a story. And by the way, if you're knocking doors, you have a shit ton of stories. So it's very important that you're remembering all of the people that you're interacting with, and you're remembering and you're taking the pieces of the stories that they're telling you so that you can leverage those down the road, even in the neighborhood or wherever it's at. So as a result of this, I'm talking about the problem. I'm talking about people freaking out. I'm being able to demonstrate this. This is when I come up with a solution. Yeah, he had met with, if I'm in a saturated area, he'd met with so many different solar people, but he never saw a program like this. When we stopped by his house, because of what everything was happening and also because of how this program looked, he was open and willing to sit with us and to see what this program looked like. We came in there and we were able to drastically reduce his bill, gave him freedom and certainty and a better quality of life. I'm assuming that we'll be able to do that same thing with you as well, but I don't know. We have to be able to run the energy report to see if you qualify. I'm not going to work with you if I can't save you money from day one, and I'm not going to work with you if there's any out-of-pocket expense for you guys. So what are your high bills? What are the high bills in the summer, or are you on the equalizer? Wow. Yeah, I think we might be able to work together because your bill's so high. That's really, really high. You can start asking, probing them questions about their usage. Now, at this point, you want to start building value. You want to start asking questions. You want to start eliciting responses. But remember, when you ask a question, it's going to guide them. It's going to guide their thinking along the lines of what we want them to think about. Any sort of a question that you ask anybody, anytime, anywhere, is going to redirect their attention. So the other thing with you guys is make sure that you're asking questions that are going to get them thinking about the problem, thinking about the solution, thinking about how we can relieve the stress that they have, or relieve some of that pressure and stuff that they're under as a result of these utility bills. So any of these responses, and by the way too, so before I'm going to ask for the business, I'm going to ask for micro commitments. Like, obviously, if there was a program that could save you a substantial amount of money, you guys would be interested in this, right? Like, okay, cool. And obviously, if I can't, it's a win-win. If I can't work with you, if we don't save you money from day one, and I can't work with you if there's any out-of-pocket expense. So that makes it pretty easy decision to make, doesn't it? Cool. All right. Go grab the utility bill so that I can run this report and see if we can work together. I pace, led. So now I'm asking him, do these things. I'm like, obviously, right? Obviously, if we can save you money. If you want to do some analogies or whatnot throughout the presentation, you can do some analogies as well. Like, hey, dude, if you had if you could go buy gas, same fuel pump, same octane, same station, but you could buy it for $1 less, would you do it, or would you spend the regular price? Oh, you would do it. Why? Like, why? Okay, cool. That's exactly what this is like. Now I want to tie value proposition, what we're offering, into an equation, an analogy that they said yes to. This is tying them down and then now being able to elicit some sort of response where they agree to it. All you have to do is make connections between our value proposition and what they agreed to. And then immediately they're going to be able to do this because they already admitted that they would go and buy that energy for much cheaper, cleaner cost. By the way, I've used this, the gas analogy, time and time again. You'll get those unruly, stubborn customers like, it depends. It depends. I'm like, depends on what? Like sometimes you're going to get that resistance match. I'm like, okay, yeah, you're the type of person that really wants to consider your options, right? Okay, cool. So would you consider yourself would you consider yourself a person that's reactive or proactive? Dude, by the way, nobody wants to be known as reactive. If you talk about this, a proactive person is of higher esteem than someone that's reacting all the time. If you're proactive, that means you take it, you do stuff before stuff happens to you. Nobody wants to be known as reactive. Every once in a while, you get someone that says they're reactive, but that's going to be very uncommon, right? So now immediately what we're going to be able to do is like, we want to align whatever the positive with our value proposition, whatever the positive characteristics with the character traits of the client. And then we come in there and we're able to be able to do this. But the body of my close, dude, I sold this guy on the door. And it was a reschedule. I went to his house before his wife was sick. He didn't let me sit there, so he came outside and I sold him again. And the one thing that really made this really, really good is I used and leveraged the urgency of the tax credits. I really went hard in the paint on this. And he was asking me at the end of the door presentation, dude, is it possible that I'm going to miss out? Is this possible? Like, I'm like, no, we can actually get you in before time as long as this is done before October 1st. We'll be able to get you in time. These are the types of questions that you want them asking. This puts you in control. Am I going to miss out? What does that tell you? If he asks you, am I going to miss out? It tells you he wants it. So at the end of this door presentation, when I went to his house, I literally just launched into numbers. It was so easy. It was like lay down. It was a lay down because of all the work that I did on the front end. And by the way, if you're a setter here, dude, you've got to be working your ass off to prep the closer up into a good situation. We've all set appointments that are just trash, right? Everybody has set an appointment that's trash. You're throwing fucking shit at the wall. You're hoping it sticks. You're hoping, I just hope I hope it just sits. You're hoping the closer comes in and does an absolute miracle, right? So those are okay. I mean, dude, it's better than not setting an appointment. But listen, you've got to do work on the front end so that the closer comes in and the closer's prepped up so that he's teed off, so that he can be able to have a close that will actually be able to equate into money in our pocket. Although I understand the whole idea about wanting to set a consultation just because you want an appointment so bad, dude, everybody's going to feel like that. But make sure that you're taking your time to build the value, build the pain, build the solution so that you come in there and that the solution. And so when the closer comes in there, that immediately the person's open, ready, and willing to make a decision to go solar. So the body of this is always going to be back to creating enough pain that they're willing to take a look at options. And by the way, too, like not everybody is going to like really resonate with the pain of the utility bill going up. They're going to resonate with other types of pains. A leak in the finances for wealthy people. Dude, you got a huge leak in your finances, man. Like money's just going through the door. You know what I'm saying? Like, how does that make you feel? Like, I don't understand. Like, you know, now you have an option to be able to shore up that leak. Is this something that you guys, I'm assuming you're smart financially and you would find a solution to shore up a leak in your finances. You guys would do this, right? Okay, cool. So maybe they're the types of people that they're not burdened by the bill because they're strategically suffering so much that they're getting a low bill. These are a little bit more challenged customers. By the way, too, if they're willing to suffer and they're suffering, like I just did a consultation for Jeremy this week. This asshole turns all his ACs off from 2 to 8. I mean, I was like, how does your wife feel about it? She doesn't like it. That's what he said. I'm like, dude. So if they're willing to suffer something like that, first and foremost, what does that tell you about this particular client? What would that tell you about somebody that's willing to turn off ACs off from 2 to 8?
Like to save money.
They don't want to have to pay the bill.
Yep. What else?
They like to strategize to keep a lower bill. So basically sacrificing how they use the power in order to have a lower bill.
Yeah, but somebody that's turning the ACs off the entire time, 2 to 8, dude, those people are cheap. They are incredibly cheap. If they're incredibly cheap like that, and we come into the house, what is the solar proposal? What would the solar proposal need to be?
Savings.
How much savings? $5, $10, $20?
It would have to be a decent amount, probably in that 20 to 30%, like a lot of people say on the doors, and then just really leveraging down on protection against rate increases.
Yeah. These people, by the way, too, these people, if you're looking at the meta model for these types of people, these are people are going to be away from, hardcore away from. They're willing to strategically make dude, this guy's whole family was there. He was making his whole family suffer. He's like, oh no, we're used to it. Like, who's used to it? You or your family? If your family had an option, would they put the AC, would they turn the AC on? At least to like 82. Yeah, they probably would, dude. But you're like a taskmaster and you're not letting anybody fucking control the thermostat from 2 to 8. Like, one of the things you got to understand is when we know the deep psychology of human beings because of just our experience, you'll have a better option, better opportunity to be able to close these people. So knowing something like this, you got to go hard in the paint. And by the way, too, if they're willing to make their family suffer, like their family's not going into the consideration. The away from model will outweigh the quality life of their family, dude. And they get their family to kind of concede and make concessions and get in alignment with them, right? These people are going to be incredibly challenging to work with just because they're so cheap and they're looking after every dime. And if they're from an away from model, you really got the motivation is going to be away from. So at that point, you have to do a lot of future pacing and what's going to happen with the utility bill. You have to make the pain of staying where they're at much greater than the fear of making a decision that's going to require them to really look to the future. So any one of these types of people, right? It brings us to the next kind of thing. So you guys kind of understand the body of this, and we're going to keep going back to this. The best setters are the ones that are going to be able to set the customer up, because all closers, we've been into an appointment that was just a badass set appointment, dude. Like someone was upfront, honest, integrity, and then they laid this out in a way that the closer comes in and just closes this deal very easily. And by the way, the setters in here that are just setting right now, but you're going to eventually close. The best way that you can do a good set is if you're setting it up so that you come back, you want to set it up in the best way possible, which is you coming in there, showing them, knowing what they want, and then being able to show them exactly what you guys talked about. So I was just going to go over really fast some of the objections, the most objections that we hear. And I'm going to keep doing this and stuff until you guys completely 100% understand this. And so the first one that we ever hear is like when you're knocking on the door, and usually this is going to come when you're asking them if they're the homeowner. Are you the homeowner? I'm going to tell you guys again, don't ask them if they're the homeowner. Dude, use their freaking name, dude. We have technology. You guys can use their name. Use the last name if you get it wrong. Just say, hey, is this the address of 443 Mulberry Street? Okay, got it. I got the right address, wrong name on here. Hey, this is really important. Let me tell you what's going on. If you have a really good hook from the very beginning, dude, people don't have the opportunity to say not interested. But if I'm like, are you the homeowner? Yeah, I'm not interested. Not interested. What do you want? Who is this? What do you want? Like, dude, like people are gonna throw out not interested all the time. So what I like to do is I like to call them by their name. It's a kind of a pain in the butt. Take my phone out, look at the name, put my phone back in my pocket, be able to call them by this. But I'm going to be honest with you guys right now. This is probably the best way and the best opportunity that you have a chance of them not slamming the door in your face, saying not interested. If they say not interested, this is a smokescreen objection. They don't know what they're not interested in. They just know they're not interested in you at their doorstep, dude. They don't care what you're offering. They don't know what you're offering. So totally get it. Hey, you don't have to be interested to qualify. This is the line that I use. And then I launch right into what I'm doing. Or what I'll say is, that's exactly why I'm here. That's exactly why I'm here. And then what I'm going to do is launch into it. You don't have to address the not interested. Don't ask them, what are you not interested in? This is really stupid. This actually guides them to think about what they're not interested in. So what we want to be able to do is just be able to briefly go over this. Is this solar? Is this solar? I know a lot of you guys hear this. This is should be a common theme. If you're knocking doors, you're going to get this a lot, especially if you're in Arizona. Is this solar? What is the response that we usually give to this?
You hate solar? I like that one.
Do you hate solar?
Yeah. Or do you hate
No.
the sun? I started saying that.
Do you hate solar? No, like that's why do you yes, what do you hate about solar? What do you hate about so hey, so I can take you off the list. Just so what do you hate about solar? Just so I can take you off the list. It's going to open it up for some sort of dialogue with these customers, right? This is a good way to be able to open up some sort of dialogue, because then whatever they say that they hate about it, then you could sell on whatever they say they hate about it. The other response I like to use is yes, but this program is completely different. You've never seen this before. It's really important that you just hear me out. I'll be out of your hair. I'm gonna look at my watch. I'll be out of your hair in 5 minutes. So, and then you launch into how this program's so much different than anything they've ever looked at before. This is a very good way to be able to respond. The worst thing you could say is, no, this isn't solar. No, dude, this is an automatic response. We'll say this, no, this isn't solar, because we don't want to get the door slammed. We want to be able to buy ourselves some time. Remember, when they're saying this objection, what they're wanting to do is find out what it is, and then they want to just get rid of you because they've already been through this. Or another response is like, is this solar? Hey, what do you guys get? Do you guys? Yeah, let me guess. You guys probably get a ton of solar guys knocking on your door, right? And they're like, yeah, we do get a ton of guys. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's kind of a pain in the butt. It's probably taking you away from what you want. What is it, before I take off, what is it that you hate about solar, so we can take you off our list? That opens up dialogue, buys yourself some time, and then they're going to open up and tell you exactly what, or they're going to say, hey, I don't hate solar. I'm just sick of you guys knocking at my door. A lot of times people don't hate solar. And if they do hate solar, they're going to give you the list of reasons why they hate it. And then we can sell on that. Whatever objection they're giving you, as long as you're able to open it up now, immediately you can be able to sell on that. I don't want it on my roof. I don't want anything on my roof. Questions. Remember, any sort of objection is best to be able to ask questions. If you can ask questions and figure out their position, then we have a fighting chance. Don't just jump to assumptions. Like there's some assumptions that are generalization assumptions that you could probably get right. But I'm going to be like, oh, I don't want on my roof. Oh, so your biggest concern is making holes in your roof? Okay. All right. And so like and how old is the roof? Oh, it's new. So you probably spent a lot of money on that, right? Yeah, I can see why you feel like that. Yeah, I can see exactly why you feel like that. So, and then you launch into a story. I always tell a story about someone that felt the same way, but then they were able to make a decision despite that. I don't like the way solar looks. Yeah, 100%. I agree with you. So you're probably talking about those big blue ones with the silver streaks. They're really giant and just take up the whole roof on the front side. Yeah. Okay, perfect. Yeah, I don't blame you. I didn't like those either. The new ones, though, are significantly different. It looks like black glass on the roof. But let me just tell you, like looking at the orientation of your house, they're not even going to go on the front side. You'll never see them. But how much money would you have to save to be willing to look at something like this? Like, what would this have to look like for you to even be willing to look at this? Now you're opening it up some sort of dialogue and stuff with these guys. My friend got screwed going solar. I'm not doing it. Okay. Yeah, I understand. So like your guard's up because your friend got screwed, right? And so like how exactly did they get screwed? You want to open it up and ask them about stuff. You don't want to answer it. Remember, identifying with empathy is not sympathy. You're not agreeing that they got screwed. You're curious and you're actually asking them these things. Like, hey, I understand. So I understand how that works. So they probably got some sort of a loan. They didn't pay the money back that the government gave them, and the loan reamortized, and now their bill's a little bit higher. Most people felt like this. Let me kind of tell you, this program is completely different. You've never seen this program before. This program is actually something that's just sponsored by the U.S. government. It just came out about 9 months ago, and it's going away at the end of the year. But let me tell you, other people that have that same concern as you with their friends or people they know that got screwed, while they're making a decision why they are making a decision to do this today, is because the program is completely different. This isn't about you buying solar. We do. This is about you having a choice in energy companies, and this is significantly cheaper than where your currently bill is. I'm moving. Perfect. This is the exact same program that this was built for. We have a move program. We're going to show you how that works when we come back. But the first thing I got to ask you is what are your high bills and stuff in the summer? I have to talk to my spouse. This is the next one. Totally fair. Hey, I'm not asking you to make a decision today based on what we told you. Like, what do you think your spouse's objection would be? Does your spouse going to object with you saving tens of thousands of dollars? Would they object to that? No? Okay. Would they, what do you think they would object to? And then you get it out of a fair, plain field. But here's the other thing though, with that, if you ask them some sort of a question like that, usually the objection they say their spouse is going to have is what their objection is. So it's like, I gotta talk to my spouse, but usually whatever objection they come up with for the spouse is what they're going to have at that point anyways. So these are the main objections. I would challenge every one of you to have that canned response to every single one of these objections. You should not be able to miss a beat. And by the way, if someone throws another objection out to you, the first thing I want you guys to do is use this equation. You got to get curious, understand their position, ask questions, and then be able to answer the objection. Does that make sense to you guys? I'm going to assume it's a yes. And so I know that we did the meta programs with you guys, and I was kind of doing that, and I realized it was a little bit more advanced. But there is one meta program that I want everybody to be consciously aware of, because this is the deciding factor of motivation, whether someone has motivation or not. And it's going to be the towards or the away. Are they looking for opportunities? Are they looking towards, or are they looking to stay away from sort of painful experience or painful past? Which one are they? Which end of the spectrum are they? If you can decipher this and you can understand this, then you will have a much greater chance of being able to close anybody once you understand what their model is. This is probably one of the biggest meta models that they have for buying things. They're either going to make a decision because they want to avoid something, or they're going to make a decision because they want to gravitate towards something. So understanding and knowing this, let's say they're away from, what should we be talking about at the doorstep?
Rate increases.
Yeah.
So, yep. But yeah, just like more lack of control over their energy, you know, being stuck with the utilities and having to monitor the, kind of like what you said earlier, they're gonna have to be more strict on their energy usage in order to keep the bill where it's at. So
it's good. I'm going to tell you guys the best way to work with an away from person is future pace them with a bigger problem than what they're experiencing now. Dude, how are you going to feel when your bill's doubled in 4 years? Like, how's that going to make you feel? Can you imagine paying a double bill? Like, what are you going to do at that point? What strategies are you going to implement to be able to get out of that, or to be able to have a different opportunity to pay less? Are you going to use less energy? Are you going to, turn your ACs off between 2 to 8? There's people that do that. Like, what's the strategy in the future? You've got to make the pain of where they're at or where they're going to be much greater than the pain of making a decision that's going to require them to have a little bit of a courage and move towards a positive experience. You're going to have to be able to elicit their behavior with some sort of a painful experience, with what they're experiencing now or what they will experience. And you've got to elicit some sort of a lesser pain with making a decision to do this. And you just have to be able to talk about pain. The main motivation is to avoid pain, not to move towards a pleasurable experience or a better experience. It's going to be able to gravitate away from what their current experience is. And you have to be able to future pace this. Now, how would you approach somebody that's a towards person? What's the best way to be able to do this? And someone participate that's not the same fucking people that have been participating.
Well, I'm confused. Like, what's the difference between towards and away?
If you knew, what would you think it is?
Like, somebody towards is like interested, like they're intrigued. The way they're kind of like, not at all, very closed. That's what comes to my mind.
Okay. So away from people make decisions based on avoiding pain. That's how away people operate. They make decisions to avoid pain. So if they make it, especially in buying decisions, They're not making a buying decision to get to a better position or a pleasurable experience. They're making a buying decision to avoid pain. The towards people are making decisions to get to a better experience or more pleasurable experience. This is their motivation. They're not thinking about the pain. They're trying to gravitate towards something, a positive experience or something that's going to put them in a better position. The main motivation for these people are one is to avoid and one is to gravitate towards something that's pleasurable. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so with towards people, you'd really want to double down and paint the picture of what it's going to look like when they're saving money, when they have true freedom when it comes to their electricity. The security of knowing that, when everybody else is paying a double utility bill in the next few years, they're going to be paying way less and like really capitalize on that.
Very good. Yep. That's it. So you could always in these things is you want to be able to do some future pacing, and everybody should be future pacing. You do this, you probably don't be able to put a term on it. A future pacing on someone like this is like, dude, you're going to be so grateful you made a decision to do this once you're reaping all of the benefits of savings and predictability and certainty. This is how you would operate with someone from a towards a meta model. You want to be able to talk about the pleasurable experience, the better position they're going to be in. All the neighbors are going to see what you have, and they're going to want to they want to be like you because you took advantage of this. You're going to be a beacon of hope for everybody out here. You're going to be the trendsetter out here. You're going to be able to show all the neighbors and stuff just how remarkable it is to be able to own your own personal power plant from your rooftop. You're going to show all the neighbors and stuff how it is to be energy independent. Dude, when the power goes out, you're going to be in your house enjoying your AC unit, being able to cook and clean and do all the other things that you're going to do inside your house without any interruption. That's the position you're going to be in, right? Now, if we take it to the context of what I just talked about, a power outage, dude, they're going to want to be able to be those people that are able to reap all those benefits. If you're talking from an away from person, dude, here's what's going to happen. There's going to start being power outages. We don't have enough energy to supply all of Arizona needs with all of these data centers. So people are freaking out because they know this is coming. We're turning into California. California has blackouts and brownouts and stuff all the time because they don't have enough energy. So people are freaking out. So now what we're going to do, we're going to avoid the power outages. You're going to avoid that because now you have a personal battery that backs up your house. You're going to be able to do the things that you want to do, but you're going to be able to avoid being in your house in the summertime and it being 115 degrees outside and your house being, 98 degrees. You're going to be able to avoid all those things. You see how I did that? Do you understand the simplicity? One was talking about the pleasurable experience or the benefits and reaping some of the rewards of this. And the other one was about what they're going to avoid in the future. So it's a very easy meta model to understand because people will tell you, and they're going to be able to tell you all of these things just by the conversations you'll have at the door. I can tell someone whether someone's away or whether they're forward within the first couple sentences and stuff that they're going to say. So most of these things, any of those people are like, hey, my friend had a really bad experience, blah, blah, blah. They might be totally away from people. So you want to be talking about, let's say their friend had a bad experience. What I want to be able to do is I want to be able to elicit the meta model. And I'm going to be talking about, what the people that are having a bad experience with the current utility bill and what the utility bill is going to be. And I want to talk about stories about people that felt the same way, but now they're freaking out because they see the utility bill is going to double. And so they finally made a decision to look at this because they wanted to protect themselves from what's going to happen in the future. So this is something that everybody on the call could work on. Just identifying this one meta model is probably going to be the biggest motivating factor for people making a decision to go solar. And this will either grant you access or deny you the ability to be able to help these people based on how you frame it. If I frame this in rainbows and butterflies and perfect, and it's going to be awesome, and these are all the benefits, dude, and they're away from people, they don't give a shit about that. They're like, well, how do I avoid something negative that's going to happen? So, one more thing I want to go on here. I have another call with a guy from Texas here in a minute, but I'm going to do a call to action for you guys. I want everybody to be intentional. You want to have well-formed outcomes on every single day. What is my purpose? What is my meaning when I wake up? What is my purpose today? I think everybody here in the group should wake up and be like, dude, I'm setting 2 consultations today. I'm going to close 2 deals. I'm going to set 2 consultations today. I think for you guys too, like, hey, I'm going to set my intention to not just setting consultations, but I'm also going to make sure that I'm talking to people and sharing this opportunity with people. I think this would be a good equation for you guys to get and be successful. Don't wake up and say, don't be the away from model. By the way, if you're looking at models, they are what they are. But I'm going to be honest with you guys, a towards model is going to be much better than away from model. If it's an away from model, we usually get what we focus on. And so if we're focused on avoiding disaster, avoiding some sort of negative experience, typically we're going to see those negative experiences, whether they happen or not, we're going to create those negative experiences. So if instead every single day we woke up and we're like, hey dude, what is my purpose today? What is my intention today? And you're like, dude, I'm going to make 2 appointments today. I'm going to talk to 2 people today. I'm going to make a way. I'm going to be able to do this. I'm going to be able to do that. That's my intention today. And then you set the frame for what you're looking for and you activate the RAS for exactly what your intention is for throughout the day. I'm going to challenge everybody on here to do this. I'm going to challenge you guys as you continue to wake up. I want you to change some habits. Instead of looking at your phone every single, as soon as you wake up, ask yourself with the intentional question, what is my purpose today? What is my intention today? What are my outcomes today? What exactly do I want? So love you guys. Let's finish strong. We've got Friday, we've got Saturday, we've got 2 more days to finish out the week. And I'm wildly optimistic that we can crush it on these next 2 days. Let's go out there and do it.
Let's go.
Thanks. Let's go.